After working all night in the freezing cold of a small Canadian town, the sun was just starting to rise over the snowy horizon when Samuel finally set down his wrench. The garage was quiet except for the low hum of the heater he could barely afford to run. His fingers were numb, his back ached, and his stomach was empty. He had skipped dinner again to buy a used part for an old woman's car, the kind of customer who paid with wrinkled bills and grateful eyes. Samuel never turned anyone away, even if it meant going hungry. At 39, Samuel lived alone in a modest trailer just outside town. He was known for two things: being the best mechanic around and always helping others, no matter how little he had. He didn't have a wife or kids. He had once dreamed of a family, a small house, and maybe even a dog. But dreams cost time and money, and both were things Samuel had long since traded for survival. That morning, as he leaned against the side of a truck he'd just fixed, his vision blurred. The last few nights of no sleep, no food, and relentless work had finally caught up with him. His knees gave out, and he crumpled to the floor, unconscious. A young woman named Claire was passing through town in a sleek black SUV when she noticed the garage door still open. Her family owned one of the biggest automotive chains in Ontario. She wasn't used to seeing small, dusty places like this, but something made her stop. Maybe it was the way the sunrise lit the garage or the faint sound of a radio still playing inside. She stepped in and found Samuel lying on the floor, barely breathing. Panicked, she called for help. Paramedics arrived quickly and rushed Samuel to the hospital. Claire followed, even though she didn't know him. Something about the way he had collapsed, the sheer exhaustion written on his face, it shook her. At the hospital, doctors said it was sheer overwork and starvation. Samuel had been pushing himself far past his limit, surviving on coffee, scraps, and willpower. Claire sat beside him when he woke, and for a moment, he looked confused, then embarrassed. He tried to sit up, apologizing for the inconvenience, for the mess, even for wasting her time. But Claire stopped him. "You didn't waste anything," she said softly. "You saved someone else's night by ruining your own. That's not a waste." Samuel didn't know who she was at first. He just nodded weakly, ashamed of being seen at his lowest. But Claire kept showing up. Each day, she'd bring a meal, ask questions, listen to his stories about old cars, and how he'd taught himself everything he knew. Slowly, she started seeing something in Samuel that she hadn't seen in the polished executives she usually met, a kind of quiet nobility. A week later, Samuel was discharged. Claire drove him home herself. She was quiet on the ride, staring out at the snowy fields. Then she turned to him and said something that left him speechless. "I want to offer you a job." "No. Actually, I want to offer you a partnership. My father left me part of the company. We need someone real, someone with a heart, to run the new branch we're opening. Someone like you." Samuel blinked. "Miss, I don't have the schooling. I've never run anything bigger than my shop. I don't even have a clean pair of jeans." Claire smiled. "You have more than that. You have honesty, grit, and heart. We can teach the rest." At first, Samuel refused. He couldn't imagine leaving his little shop. But Claire didn't push. She left her number and told him to think about it. Weeks passed. The shop remained quiet. The old woman with the rattling engine never came back. The heater broke down again. And one night, Samuel sat with a cold cup of coffee, staring at a faded photo of his parents. His father had been a trucker, always tired, always gone. His mother had scrubbed floors until her knees gave out. They had given everything so Samuel could live better. And here he was, still trapped in survival. The next morning, Samuel called Claire. Today, Samuel wears a clean uniform with his name stitched proudly on the chest. He manages a bright, warm garage in a new part of town, training young mechanics and helping people just like he used to. The job pays more than he's ever seen, but it's not the money that changed him. It's the purpose, the chance to do good on a bigger scale. And every time a struggling kid walks in with greasy hands and a hunger to learn, Samuel remembers where he came from and pays it forward. Claire visits often. Sometimes, they talk late into the night about business. Other times, they just share stories about life, pain, and healing. They've become each other's family in a way neither expected. And in a town once filled with silent garages and forgotten dreams, the lights now shine late into the night. Not because someone is working themselves to collapse, but because someone finally believed they were worth more. Sometimes, All it takes is one person seeing you differently to change the entire course of your life.